The transmission arrived without warning. Across every screen on Earth, from the neon-streaked towers of Tokyo to the frozen outposts in Siberia, a single message blinked. Submit or be erased. You have 36 hours. Silence followed. Then panic. Markets crashed, governments convened in emergency sessions, and ordinary citizens stared skyward, searching for the fleet that had already anchored in orbit, massive ships reflecting sunlight like black diamonds. Humanity had glimpsed the edge of annihilation, and it was cold, precise, and terrifying. Admiral Elena Voss watched from the command bridge of Earth's orbital defense station, her fingers lightly tapping the console. 36 hours. Time enough for fear, but not enough for defeat. Around her, her officers murmured updates, calculations streaming across holoscreens like starlight. "Admiral," said Lieutenant Kieran, "they're not bluffing. Their fleet dwarfs anything we've ever seen. Even with stealth, Earth would be vaporized in hours." Elena's gaze didn't waver. "They assume we're defenseless. That assumption will be their first mistake." Her voice carried the weight of certainty. The room, tense and buzzing with anxious energy, bent toward her calm. This was the edge where leaders either faltered or shaped history. Elena had chosen her side long before she was ever entrusted with a fleet, humanity. She turned to her operations officer. "Bring up the orbital sensors. Show me every Council vessel in range." The holodisplay shifted, revealing a constellation of alien warships, sleek and cold, each with the unmistakable mark of High Chancellor Xyratha's personal fleet at its center. The ships were massive, built for intimidation, their surfaces layered with energy-absorbent alloys. A single broadside from one could have obliterated a continent. Yet, Elena saw not invincibility, but arrogance, and that arrogance was exploitable. "Scans indicate they believe the planet unarmed beyond a minimal orbital shield," Kieran noted. "Their communication is direct, almost contemptuous." Elena leaned forward. "They think we lack the sophistication to fight in space. Let's ensure their confidence becomes their undoing." Down on Earth, the response was chaos. Governments debated evacuation, surrender, and negotiation, yet the world had grown weary of pleading for survival. Humanity had survived centuries of natural disasters, disease, and wars against itself. To bow to an external authority now would be unthinkable. Elena knew this instinct ran deeper than fear. It was stubbornness, resilience, a refusal to be written off. "Admiral," came a voice from the communications deck. "Civilian engineers are requesting access to classified systems. They say they can improve shield modulation in time." Elena smiled faintly. "Bring them online. Every mind counts. We are not a single weapon, we are a network. Every human hand, every human thought, is part of the defense." The fleet's readiness was an unspoken secret. Decades of clandestine preparation had yielded a force that even the Council did not suspect existed. Hidden beneath orbital stations, disguised as cargo arrays and scientific platforms, were hundreds of vessels, destroyers, interceptors, stealth frigates, all piloted by humans who had trained in silence for a day that now arrived. Kieran's voice cut in again. "Admiral, they're transmitting again." Xyrath himself. The holoscreen flickered, and the High Chancellor appeared. Tall, angular, with a gaze that seemed to pierce flesh and thought alike. His voice, cold and unwavering, filled the bridge. "You are insects in the machinery of the galaxy," Xyrath intoned. "Submit, or you will cease to exist. 36 hours. Compliance is not negotiable." Elena's fingers curled lightly around the console. "Is that all?" she murmured. Then, raising her voice, she replied, calm but cutting, "We do not submit. And if you attempt to erase us, you will learn the cost of underestimating humans." A ripple of surprise passed through her officers. Bold. Dangerous. But necessary. Fear was contagious, courage, deliberate. Xyratha's eyes narrowed. "So be it." As the transmission ended, Elena turned to the bridge. "Initiate Phase 1, she ordered. "Deploy orbital decoys, activate stealth protocols, and alert every hidden unit. Humanity does not beg. Humanity does not kneel. Humanity fights. The next hours were a blur of activity. Engineers recalibrated shield matrices, technicians adjusted quantum drives, and pilots ran simulations that merged history's greatest battles with their own audacious strategies. Elena moved among them, her presence a steadying force. Every calculation mattered, every second counted. By nightfall, Earth's secret fleet emerged from orbital shadows. Invisible to Council sensors until too late, the ships took positions and calculated formations around the planet. The Council's scanners, expecting an undefended world, would find nothing, only to be confronted with precision strikes they had never anticipated. Elena watched the stars beyond the viewport, the silent void suddenly charged with potential. The Council's arrogance was monumental, but so was humanity's resolve. She whispered to herself, more as affirmation than plan, let them come. Let them see what they have misjudged. Below, humanity braced for impact. Above, hidden ships glided like predators. And in the midst of it all, one truth rang clear: humans were unpredictable. They were tenacious. And they were ready. The first shadows of the Council's fleet passed into view. The game had begun. The first strike came before dawn. Council sensors, expecting a defenseless Earth, detected only a faint shimmer in the void, a mirage. Then, silently, the hidden human fleet revealed itself. Interceptors darted between massive cruisers, invisible until it was too late. Alien weaponry unleashed energy beams into empty space, missing by kilometers as decoys and stealth maneuvers masked the real positions. Admiral Elena Voss watched the tactical display, her expression unreadable. Around her, the bridge hummed with controlled urgency. Every human operator was a cog in a network finely tuned over decades. They think they're facing nothing, she said, her voice low but resolute. Let's remind them humans are never nothing. Lieutenant Kieran's fingers danced over the console. Decoys deployed. Quantum drive flickers are synchronized. First Council wave approaching predicted coordinates. Elena nodded. All units, engage Phase 2, precision strikes on supply modules only. Disable, don't destroy civilians. She glanced at the holographic projection of the enemy fleet. We don't want a war crime. We want to remind them of consequences. The Council's flagship, a dark triangular monolith, led the assault. Energy pulses flared from its hull, cutting swaths through orbital space. Human destroyers, smaller but agile, weaved between blasts. Stealth frigates slipped behind enemy lines, targeting propulsion nodes with surgical accuracy. Admiral, Kieran said, voice tight, they're beginning to realize we're not defenseless. Sensors are picking scattered energy disruptions, they're recalculating attack vectors. Elena's lips curved slightly. Good. Confusion is an advantage. Let them overcompensate. Let them underestimate humans' ingenuity. Below the bridge, Earth's engineers worked tirelessly. Civilian scientists, drafted into defense, recalibrated shield matrices and weapon frequencies. Every human was engaged, not merely in combat, but in thinking, anticipating, and improvising. This was not a war of machines alone, it was a war of human intellect, creativity, and unpredictability. Admiral, came a new voice, urgent, from comms. Council frigate attempting to flank. They're targeting orbital research platforms. Elena's gaze sharpened. Not if we intercept first. Divert Interceptor Squadron 7. Shield those stations, but prepare counterattack once flanking maneuver commits. The holographic battlefield shifted in real time. Council ships, sleek and imposing, were forced to adjust constantly, their confidence shaken. They had expected a simple conquest, they were facing a coordinated intelligence far beyond their estimates. In the midst of the chaos, the High Chancellor appeared on a communications link, his visage calm yet laced with barely concealed irritation. Admiral Voss, XY wrath-intoned, voice reverberating across the bridge, you amuse me. It seems your species has rudimentary cunning. Elena replied without hesitation, her tone steady. Cunning? No. We are adaptable. We endure. And we do not surrender. A silence followed, broken only by the distant hum of human engines and the crackle of alien energy beams. Xyratha's eyes narrowed, his confidence visibly faltering. "This is unacceptable," he muttered. "They must be eradicated before they learn to think strategically." Kieran's voice cut through the tension. "Admiral, we've managed to disable 2 of their supply nodes without losing a ship. That should slow them significantly." Elena allowed herself a brief nod. "Good. Humanity thrives under pressure. They underestimate us because they value brute strength over intellect. Let's keep proving them wrong." The Council's fleet had begun to show cracks, not structural, but organizational. Mismatched formations, delayed signals, and abrupt course corrections betrayed panic. Human frigates, small and fast, slipped through gaps, striking weak points and retreating before retaliation. Every action reinforced one immutable truth: humans were unpredictable, and unpredictability was lethal. "Admiral," Kieran said, voice tense, "they've deployed boarding units. Attempting to breach orbital stations." Elena clenched her jaw. "Do not engage unless necessary. Focus on countermeasures and force them into disadvantageous positions. Let them overextend." She paused, eyes scanning the tactical board. "If they think humans are easy targets, they will learn the cost." The alien flagship, sensing disruption, moved to central command nodes. Energy blasts ripped through space, but the human fleet's defensive choreography minimized losses. Every strike, every evasive maneuver, displayed calculated risk and precision. "Admiral," Kieran added, "we have reports from planetary defense units. Civilian satellites repurposed as weapons platforms are ready. If we push now, we could cripple their main fleet." Elena's mind raced. She weighed strategy against ethics, advantage against collateral damage. Finally, she made her decision. Engage planetary units. Target propulsion and command systems. No civilian casualties. We end this not with indiscriminate destruction, but with decisive efficiency. As human units executed the plan, Council commanders began communicating frantic orders. Confusion and disarray rippled through their ranks. What they had assumed would be a routine conquest had transformed into a lethal chessboard where every move was anticipated, every weakness exploited. Xyratha's voice returned, strained with incredulity. "This is impossible. Humans cannot coordinate at this level. They should not exist as a threat." Elena responded calmly, almost gently. "You underestimated what humans are capable of. Not strength alone, but ingenuity, cooperation, and the willingness to fight for survival. That is something your council cannot comprehend." The alien fleet faltered. A critical supply vessel erupted in a controlled strike, sending fragments into orbit. Energy shields rippled and faltered across multiple ships. Panic replaced arrogance. Xyratha's confidence, once absolute, wavered. Elena surveyed the battlefield, the human fleet weaving like living armor around the planet. The Council's underestimation had been their greatest mistake, and humans were relentless in exploiting it. "Prepare for the next phase," Elena instructed. "We hit their command nodes next. Let them realize they are not gods, they are fallible, and humans are unpredictable." In that moment, amid the chaos and brilliance of coordinated human action, one undeniable truth emerged: the galaxy had never faced a species like humanity. One that fought not just with weapons, but with intellect, resilience, and unyielding resolve. One that refused to kneel. And the Council would remember that lesson. The galaxy had begun to tremble. The Council's fleet, once a symbol of unassailable power, now staggered under the relentless precision of human tactics. Energy pulses that had once cut through space like blades now met calculated deflection, diversion, and counterattack. Humanity, long underestimated, was proving the cost of arrogance. Admiral Elena Voss stood on the bridge of the flagship Resolute, eyes scanning the tactical display. The Council's vessels were clustered, disorganized, struggling to maintain formation. Every strike from human frigates, every calculated disruption of supply lines, had fractured the alien command structure. "Admiral," Lieutenant Kieran reported, tension threading his voice, "we've isolated the command core of their flagship fleet. It's vulnerable. Shields are at 32%, and their main weapons are offline for recalibration." Elena's jaw tightened. "Then we finish this. Prepare the strike fleet. Synchronize with planetary units. We hit simultaneously, decisive, surgical, unstoppable." Below, engineers and pilots worked in perfect harmony, each aware that every calculation could determine the fate of humanity. Civilian satellites, repurposed as precision weapons platforms, aligned with orbital interceptors. Stealth frigates flitted like shadows, while destroyers formed an impenetrable screen. Every human hand, every thought, every maneuver had been honed for this moment. "Admiral," Kieran added, hesitating, "the High Chancellor has requested a direct link. He wants to speak to you before we strike." Elena met his gaze. "Let him talk. Let him witness what he failed to predict." The holographic image of High Chancellor Xyrath appeared. He looked calm, almost serene, yet there was a tremor beneath his composed exterior. "Admiral Voss," he began, voice carrying the weight of centuries, "you have proven capable, but this does not end as you imagine. Cease this assault, and we may yet negotiate. Persist, and your species will face extinction." Elena stepped forward, voice steady, resolute. "High Chancellor, negotiation ended the moment you threatened Earth. You assumed humans were weak. You assumed we would cower. You assumed we lacked the ingenuity to defend ourselves. You were wrong." Xyrath's eyes narrowed. "And now you intend to destroy us?" Elena's lips curved slightly. "Not destroy. Correct your arrogance. Humanity does not annihilate without purpose, but we do not hesitate to strike when survival demands it." She turned to her officers. "Initiate Phase 3. Strike all command nodes simultaneously. Decisive blows, no hesitation." In orbit and across planetary grids, humanity moved as one. Stealth frigates penetrated alien lines, striking propulsion arrays with surgical precision. Destroyers unleashed concentrated energy pulses to disable shields, while interceptor squadrons disrupted communication links. Satellites rained kinetic strikes on critical systems. Council vessels floundered, their cohesion collapsing under unexpected, multifaceted assault. On the bridge, Elena watched the battle unfold. Ships she had commanded for years executed complex maneuvers flawlessly, a testament to training, trust, and human adaptability. Each strike was a note in a symphony of calculated chaos, every movement revealing the difference between arrogance and understanding. "Admiral," Kieran said, his voice barely a whisper, "their flagship's core is exposed. We can neutralize it in minutes." Elena nodded. "Prepare the final sequence. This is not vengeance. It is survival and demonstration. Humanity is not to be underestimated." The strike launched. Stealth frigates entered the core's blind spots, firing plasma torpedoes that struck with precision. Shields flared and failed. Energy grids overloaded. Explosions rippled across the vessel, shattering weapon banks and crippling engines. The Council fleet faltered, retreating in disarray. Xyrath appeared on the comms again, his visage a mixture of disbelief and reluctant respect. "Admiral, you have bested us. Your species, unpredictable, resilient, formidable." Elena's gaze met his, unflinching. "Not formidable alone. Humanity survives through ingenuity, cooperation, and unyielding resolve. Remember this. Underestimating humans is a mistake no one should ever repeat." The fleet went silent, Council ships scattering in retreat. Humanity had struck a clear message: Earth was no longer a passive world, and humans were a force that demanded recognition. Across the galaxy, alien civilizations took notice. Reports streamed in from distant observation posts, civilizations that had ignored Earth now reconsidered alliances, strategies, and assumptions. On the bridge, Elena allowed herself a moment to breathe. She surveyed the horizon of stars, where once only fear had lingered. Humanity had endured, not by brute force alone, but through intellect, resilience, and unity. The galaxy had glimpsed a species that refused submission and thrived under pressure. Kieran broke the silence. "Admiral, what now?" Elena turned, her expression calm yet resolute. "Now, we rebuild. We prepare. The Council may retreat, but the lesson remains: humans are unpredictable, unstoppable when united, and will defend themselves at any cost. Humanity has earned its place among the stars, not by pleading, not by hiding, but by proving that survival, ingenuity, and courage are the true measures of strength." The stars outside seemed to shimmer with possibility. Humanity's roar, once quiet and isolated on a single planet, now echoed across systems, announcing a new era. Other species would think twice before challenging humans. Leaders would pause before dismissing Earth as primitive. Humanity's survival, long questioned, was now a warning in a declaration: the galaxy had underestimated the wrong species. Elena's gaze returned to the tactical board, where the scattered remnants of the Council fleet lingered. She allowed herself a faint smile, tempered by vigilance. The galaxy had been reminded of a simple truth: humans were not easily broken. "Prepare for recovery operations," she instructed. "And send a message to the Council: humanity does not bow. Humanity does not beg. Humanity survives, and thrives." Across Earth, across orbiting stations and hidden bases, the coordinated human effort slowly wound down. Yet the memory of the battle, the exhilaration of triumph, and the undeniable proof of human resilience would endure. For centuries, stories would speak of this day, not merely as a battle, but as a turning point, where humans showed the galaxy the cost of underestimating their spirit. The galaxy had trembled, and Earth had risen. Humanity's place among the stars was no longer questioned, it was demanded. Silence settled over Earth's orbital fleet, a quiet contrast to the chaos of the preceding battle. The Council's retreating vessels left streaks of light fading into the void, remnants of a power they had assumed unchallengeable. On the bridge of the Resolute, Admiral Elena Voss remained vigilant, scanning the stars, her mind already calculating the next steps. Lieutenant Kieran broke the silence, his voice cautious. "Admiral, damage reports are coming in. Minimal casualties, some system recalibrations, but overall, the fleet is intact. Planetary infrastructure remains secure. They've underestimated us, and it cost them." Elena's gaze didn't waver. "Underestimation is the privilege of the arrogant. They have learned, but lessons are often too late when humans are involved." Her tone carried quiet authority, an unspoken reminder that vigilance was survival. Down on Earth, humanity celebrated cautiously. Cities lit in muted victory, aware that triumph came with responsibility. Engineers and pilots, once silent shadows, now stepped into the light, their work recognized but unpublicized. Humanity had shown the galaxy that intelligence and coordination could triumph over overwhelming force. A communications alert interrupted Elena's reflections. She activated the link. A Council envoy appeared, flanked by armored ships. Xyratha's voice, though subdued, carried weight. "Admiral Voss, humanity has survived where none expected. We acknowledge the error in judgment and seek dialogue. Your species is formidable." Elena's eyes narrowed. "Dialogue is possible, but understand this: humans are not a species to be dictated to. We survive, we adapt, and we defend ourselves. Any future engagement must begin with respect for our sovereignty." There was a pause, filled only by the hum of human engines. "Your terms are unprecedented," Xyrath admitted. "We will comply, temporarily." "Temporarily," Elena repeated, "is all the time we need. Let this serve as a reminder: Earth is not a world to be threatened lightly. Humanity's survival is non-negotiable." Kieran exhaled, relief mixed with lingering tension. "Do you think they've truly learned?" Elena studied the retreating Council fleet. "They've learned they misjudged a species capable of strategy, unity, and resilience. Whether they internalize it fully, that remains to be seen." But the message has been delivered. The following days were a whirlwind of recovery and preparation. Repairs were prioritized, tactical simulations updated, and communication protocols refined. Humanity had fought not merely for survival, but to establish its presence as a force to be reckoned with. The victory was both practical and symbolic, a statement that humans would no longer be overlooked or dismissed. Meanwhile, other civilizations began sending emissaries, observing humanity's capabilities. Some were curious, some wary, and others quietly relieved that the Council's arrogance had been checked. Elena convened a strategic council, composed not only of military officers but scientists, engineers, and diplomats. "We've demonstrated our strength," Elena addressed the room, voice calm and firm. "Now we define our presence. Diplomacy and defense must go hand in hand. The galaxy respects action, and we have taken ours. But we must remain vigilant. The future will test us in new ways, and we must be ready." A young officer, barely 25, raised a tentative question. "Admiral, what about retaliation? Other council factions might seek revenge for their embarrassment." Elena met his gaze steadily. "Retaliation may come. That is inevitable in a galaxy built on pride and power. But we are not unprepared. We will continue to strengthen defenses, expand our knowledge, and cultivate alliances. Humans do not rely on luck, we rely on preparation and foresight." Later, in a private moment, Elena walked among the fleet's corridors, observing the silent diligence of her crew. Pilots checked propulsion systems, engineers monitored energy matrices, and commanders refined tactical simulations. Every human was aware that survival had been won through intellect, courage, and collective effort, not chance. Her thoughts drifted to the galaxy beyond, billions of stars, countless civilizations, and the lingering question of humanity's place among them. Earth had proven it could withstand annihilation, but the real challenge was influence. Humans had the power to survive, now they needed the foresight to shape a future where survival was assured and sovereignty respected. A calm alert broke her reverie. The envoy was back. Admiral Voss, ex-Wyrath spoke, voice tempered, "Our council wishes to formalize relations. We cannot ignore a species that has altered galactic calculations so decisively." Elena considered the message carefully. Relations can be formalized, but on the basis of equality, not subjugation. Humanity is independent, and we will remain so. The envoy nodded, understanding that compliance no longer equaled dominance. "Acknowledged. We will adjust accordingly." After the link ended, Elena returned to the observation deck. The stars stretched infinitely, and for the first time since the ultimatum, there was a sense of calm. Humanity had endured a test few believed it could pass. The victory was not just in ships or technology, but in proving that human resolve and ingenuity could withstand a galaxy's greatest powers. She spoke softly, almost to herself, yet her voice carried to the nearest officers. "The galaxy may fear us, respect us, or envy us. But they will never again assume we are weak. That is the legacy of this battle. Humans have risen, and Earth will not retreat." Kiran approached quietly. "Admiral, what now? Do we expand, fortify, or negotiate further?" Elena's gaze remained on the stars. "All of the above. We fortify what we have, prepare for unknown threats, and engage in dialogue, but always from a position of strength. Humanity has proven we can survive annihilation. Now we ensure we can shape our destiny beyond it." The days turned into weeks. Humanity's hidden fleet transitioned from combat readiness to a deterrent presence, the Council's defeat resonating across the galaxy. Trade routes shifted, alliances re-evaluated, and whispers of Earth's defiance traveled far and wide. Humanity's reputation transformed from a solitary, underestimated species to a formidable force, demanding respect. Elena, at the center of it all, understood the duality of triumph. Victory was not just survival, it was a responsibility. Humans had entered the galactic stage not as guests, but as active participants capable of shaping the rules. Every decision now carried weight beyond Earth, every action observed and analyzed by countless civilizations. in the quiet of her command deck, she allowed herself a final reflection. Humanity had survived an ultimatum, had fought against the most powerful entities in the known galaxy, and had emerged victorious. But this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, full of unpredictable challenges and civilizations with ambitions as dangerous as their own. Elena's voice, firm and unwavering, echoed softly to the officers around her. We have endured, we have struck, and we have survived. But survival alone is not enough. We will define humanity's place in the galaxy, not through submission or fear, but through ingenuity, courage, and unity. That is our promise, and our warning. The stars outside reflected the calm after the storm. Humanity had roared across the galaxy, and now, for the first time, the galaxy truly listened.